What's up, everybody? Welcome back. If you were just watching Scotty Talks NBA, hopped over here to DSM Pregame Live. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to the next show. But nonetheless, DSM Pregame Live, we have a matchup between the Portland TrailBlazers and the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. I'm obviously going to preview that for you. I am your host at Scotty Drown. That's my handle on all social media platforms, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. We are streaming to you exclusively on the DSM YouTube channel, as we do for every single DSM pregame show. Nonetheless, what we're going to get into, it's just a typical, we're going to recap the Sixers' last matchup. We're going to get into the next matchup, give an overview of the Portland TrailBlazers, what they've been doing of late. Then we'll get into keys to victory, best bets, predictions in the show there. This will be a pretty quick one. I'm going to try to get you guys out of here before that 6:50 mark. Get your best bets out, get the predictions out, get you guys taken care of. Nonetheless, let's dive right into it here. As I mentioned, we got the Portland TrailBlazers coming to town to take on the Philadelphia 76ers. Sixers coming into this one 4-1 on their last 5, right? 7-3 in their last 10. They went 4-1 on this road trip specifically that they're coming off of, though. I mentioned it in my last show in Scotty Talks NBA. Coming off a 5-game road trip. Miami, Dallas, Milwaukee, Indiana, Minnesota, 5 in a row on the road. You had some back-to-backs mixed in there as well. And the Sixers come out of that 4-1, right? That's pretty incredible if you ask me. You had a game mixed in there where Embiid sat out, I believe it was against the Miami Heat. And then you had James Harden sitting out against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were able to grab dubs in each of those respective games. The only loss coming to the Dallas Mavericks, which, if you ask me, I'll throw that one out. I would call that a fluke game. Dallas Mavericks hit 25 threes. Luka and Kyrie had 82 combined points between two players, right? So I'll throw that game out. But nonetheless, 4-1 on your road trip is great. In this last matchup with the T-Wolves, as I mentioned, they were the final game of the road trip. That was the last game the Sixers played. We had the Sixers coming away with a 117-94 win over the Minnesota T-Wolves. Ultimately, in this game, it was an Embiid masterclass. I mentioned Harden sat out of this one. 39 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 13 for 22 from the field. He was 4 for 4 from the three-point line. You talk about an efficient night. He only played 28 minutes in this game. He sat the entire fourth quarter. So 28 minutes of this game, my man handed Rudy Gobert 39 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists on 13 for 22 shooting. 28 minutes of a game. Didn't play the whole fourth quarter. That's what he handed the former multi-time defensive player of the year, right? Rudy Gobert. Maxey in this game, he continued his heater, right? 27 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. He was 9 for 16 from the field, 4 for 7 from the three-point line. Continues that hot shooting. Tobias Harris wasn't great on the scoring column, obviously. 10 points. Got those 10 points late. Ultimately did cash out one of my slips by getting the 10 points. So thank you, Tobias. I appreciate that. But nonetheless, he was effective in other areas of this game. 14 rebounds, 4 assists in this game as well. One of his best rebounding efforts. Maybe a good part of winning this game, right? Because they did win the rebounding battle 54-34. Aside from the Sixers' success, they had some other guys mixed in. We even got to see some Korkmaz in this game, which is very rare this season, which I can't say I'm complaining about. And Edwards on the Minnesota side, he had 32.7 rebounds, 5 for 10 from the three-point line. So obviously he did his thing. I knew he was going to do his thing going into this one. That's why we laid Ant Edwards points over as one of our best bets. But nonetheless, Ant Edwards cashes us out with 32.7 rebounds, 5 for 10 from the three-point line. As I mentioned, Philly, one of the rare instances where they win the rebounding battle. They won it by a large margin, 34 excuse me. So a 20 rebound margin, maybe the largest that we've seen all season, especially with me recapping these games. This is the largest that I can remember. Obviously, no Cat in this game, so maybe that plays a little bit of a part in it, but you still have Rudy Gobert out there. There's no excuse to get out rebounded like that. Aside from that, Philadelphia led by 28 at one point, and this is all without James Harden. So all in all, a very, very impressive win. What do we got going here? What's good on YouTube Shorts lately? I don't know, man. Hey, from what I see, and mind you, my DSM comrades, I don't know what they're getting into. Apparently, you can find like half naked yoga on YouTube these days. I get them flooded in the DSM Shorts page for some reason. I would imagine somebody is watching these videos to create that algorithm to show us this, but funny inside joke there from Beard. Maybe it's not inside anymore now, but nonetheless, we'll have some shorts out later with the best bets and whatnot. But I don't know if we're gonna have any naked yoga or soccer players in their under. I don't know who's watching these videos, who's creating these videos, but nonetheless, it ain't me. Nonetheless, Sixers, they take care of business in their road trip on a high note. And now I would say you have an opportunity in this next section of games to ultimately take advantage. It starts with Portland tonight, but the next 7 games includes one playoff team. That would be the Cleveland Cavaliers. I believe they play them next, right after. Maybe I'm confused. Maybe we play the Wizards tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure on that exactly. Let me pull that up here. But nonetheless, in their next 7 games, they have one playoff team that is a legitimate playoff team. And then they have one other team that is also considered a play-in team. And that team being the Washington Wizards. So let's just take a look at their upcoming schedule. I just want to make sure I get it in order for you guys. So, yeah, so we have the Blazers. Then they play the Wizards tomorrow in the tail end of this back-to-back. And then they got the Cavaliers next Wednesday. Excuse me, not a back-to-back. So we play the Portland TrailBlazers tonight. Then we play the Wizards on Sunday. Then the Cavs on Wednesday. So no back-to-back. That's a good thing, ultimately. But nonetheless, next 7 games include one playoff team being the Cleveland Cavaliers, one play-in team being the Washington Wizards. You need to take advantage, right? This 7-game span, you have the TrailBlazers, Wizards, Cavs, Hornets, Pacers, Bulls. Mind you, you come out of that 7-game window, you have the Warriors. That's not the world-beating Warriors, the dynasty Warriors that we've seen in the past couple of years. That is the Warriors that are in the play-in spot in the Western Conference. So even them being at the end of that 7-game span, they're not the world beaters that we know them to be. All in all, the point is take advantage of this stretch, right? Take advantage because you just came off a stretch where you played nothing but playoff contenders, right? So take advantage of this stretch where you have a little bit lesser competition before it cranks up again and you get back into the playoff contenders. Nonetheless, give you guys an overview of where Portland is coming into this game. They're coming off a loss to the Boston Celtics, 93-115. Celtics won that game. Dame Lillard in that game, 27 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. He was 7 for 16 from the field. Jason Tatum on the other side, 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 for 10 from the three-point line. Derek White, mind you, not to talk about the Celtics too much here. Derek White has been amazing for the Celtics. Maybe arguably better than Malcolm Brogdon. I'm not going to go out there and put my head on that platter for that argument, but he's been playing lights out, 21.7, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 8 for 12 from the field. I wanted to point out Matisse Thybulle here because this is who Matisse Thybulle is. Mind you, Sixers fans, for some weird reason, have still been clamoring over Matisse Thybulle, clamoring over his comments coming into tonight's matchup. Obviously, there's a big quote by him that got released today. I believe it was Keith Pompey that got it. Basically saying that he was playing fear-based basketball in Philadelphia. Fear-based basketball. So basically, you make a mistake, you're coming off the court. That's what happens when contending teams. I'm sorry. That's called accountability. Don't make the mistake. How about that? How about you take advantage of your opportunities that you're given? It's a whole other conversation. Nonetheless, Matisse Thybulle is prospering in Portland with a big fat 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist in 20 minutes. He was 1 for 6 from the field, 0 for 4 from the three-point line. He is prospering out there in Portland. He's doing his thing. He's feeling comfortable. He's playing fear-free out there, right? No. 2 points in 20 minutes is what we're used to right here in Philadelphia. You're going to have that outlier game where he plays 30 minutes, gets 6 threes up, and maybe he's hot that night. Those are the nights that you can't afford to risk it being a 2-point and 20-minute night, right, in Philadelphia where you're trying to contend each and every night. So you say you're playing fear-based basketball in Philadelphia. I say you can't handle the pressure of playing on a contender. To each their own. I guess it's his perspective, right? My final note on Matisse Thybulle, and to all of the fans that are still out there like, oh, why don't we trade Matisse Thybulle? Mind you, Jalen McDaniel just got us a W in Indiana when he scored 20 points, up over 8 rebounds in that game, right? Jalen McDaniels is a piece that fits. It's going to get consistent playoff minutes on this roster. But you guys are still clamoring and all the murals taken down. Oh, Matisse Thybulle, he's such a good dude. Oh, he's such a good dude. He didn't get vaccinated so he could play basketball with the Sixers in Toronto. He's such a good dude. Such a good dude that he didn't do anything for this organization. He was a failure. For a first-round pick, you could call him a bust. He's a lesser version of Ben Simmons. That's the reason I was completely fine with dishing him out. Now you have a wing, legitimate 3-and-D player for the future. I'm not losing no sleep over Matisse in Portland. Maybe he hits 3 threes tonight because that's the type of shit that happens when players that used to play for the Sixers play them. Maybe that happens tonight. But nonetheless, stop losing sleep over Matisse Thybulle. He's not a needle mover, right? He's not going to be the reason if the Sixers kept him, they would have won the championship. No, that was not happening, so it does not matter. Jalen McDaniels, on the other hand, he could be a needle mover if he can guard Jason Tatum in the second-round matchup with the Celtics, right? If he can be effective on offense enough to be out on the court for defensive purposes, right? Be a 3-and-D guy. Jalen McDaniels is useful. Nonetheless, that's my little rant with Matisse Thybulle and his comments. He's been doing nothing but kind of disrespecting Philadelphia, the organization, Doc Rivers since he left. I'm not a Doc Rivers super fan at all. Doc Rivers has done really well this year, in my opinion. You can bang the table and yell at me. You can yell fire Doc all you want whenever things go wrong and the players really don't do their part. I, once again, am not waving the flag with Doc Rivers' head on it, Glenn Rivers' head on it, right? But he has not been bad this year. He's been honestly pretty good, aside for the Paul Reed blunder. Moving into where the Portland TrailBlazers stand, obviously they're coming off a loss, but 31-35 on the season. They're 13th in the Western Conference right now, trying to get into the play. I don't see it for them, if I'm being completely honest. Let's take a look at how many games back they are. 15. So only a game back of the play-in tournament, to be fair. They're about to lose tonight, so don't know how much closer they're going to get. But I'm not a fan of this Portland TrailBlazers team. I don't look at them as a team that deserves to make the playoffs. I've been you can find video recordings of previous episodes where I've said Dame Lillard needs to get the hell out of there. Anthony Simons needs to get the hell out of there. These are guys that can contribute to a team winning today, right? But they love Portland. They want to stay there. Do you? It's up to you, right? Nonetheless, 14-20 on the road, the Portland TrailBlazers are. You look at the other end, the Sixers are 24-10 at home. So a very good home team against a very bad road team, obviously. You look at the recent trends. Portland TrailBlazers obviously coming off the loss. They're 4-6 in their last 10. So once again, not playing great basketball. Anthony Simons, for instance, is questionable for tonight. So that would be even bigger loss there. You look at the Sixers side, they've won 3 in a row, obviously coming against Minnesota, Indiana, and Milwaukee. After that loss to Dallas, went 4-1 on the road trip. But nonetheless, they're 7-3 in their last 10. So they've been playing really good basketball all around, especially since the All-Star break against tough competition. You look at points per game, Sixers rank 14th, Portland ranks 15th, so not much difference there. Rebounding per game, Sixers rank 28th, Portland ranks 26th, not much difference there. Assists per game, Phillies at 16th, Portland at 22nd, and opponents' points per game. How many points are you giving up per game? Sixers at 3rd, Portland TrailBlazers at 18th. That is where the difference lies. If you look at the rosters, that is where the difference lies, right? We know Portland can score the ball. I mean, they can score the ball with the best of them, right? We've seen Dame Lillard go over 70 points this season. He has the most 40-plus point games in the league. We know that they can score the ball. Thing is, the Sixers can score the ball, too. They have the best duo in the NBA in Joel Embiid and James Harden. They have the leading scorer in the leading assist man in the NBA right now. Sixers can score the basketball. We know Tyrese Maxey can score the basketball. We know George Niang can hit threes. We know other guys on this team can hit threes and space the floor. Sixers can score the basketball, right? But they can defend the basketball when they want to be fair. On this road trip, they weren't playing the best defense, but obviously you're on a long road trip. You're going to have to give a little bit to get a little bit, right? You give up a little bit on the defensive end in order to do better on the offensive end. And ultimately it got them a 4-1 record. I think at home they can dig their feet into the floor and play some really good defense. Get back to that Sixers caliber playoff type defense tonight. And maybe make a statement, right, with that defense. And on the other end, I don't think there's matchups for any of these players, right? Maybe Jeremy Grant, right? He can lock up Tobias Harris. Woohoo. Who's guarding Tyrese Maxey? Who's guarding James Harden? Who's guarding Joel Embiid? Nobody on that roster, that's for sure. So just looking from that outside in, I guess you could say, Portland TrailBlazers, they don't move me. We'll get into keys of victory here just to kind of get into them. But as you can see, I'm trending towards picking the Sixers here. First key to victory, it's an obvious one, and I think you guys would all agree with me here. There's no way the Portland TrailBlazers beat the Sixers without Dame Lillard going for 30 to 40 plus, right? Control and contain Damian Lillard. We do not need a 50-point night from Dame Lillard in the Wells Fargo Center tonight. Do not want to see that. So control Dame Lillard, keep your focus on him, remain locked in, and just don't let him do whatever he wants out there, right? That's the first step here. He's going to want to put a show on in Philadelphia. I'm just telling you right now, all the connections throughout the offseason, the last 2 seasons, when we were trying to trade Ben Simmons, he's going to want to put a show on in Philly. I have this weird feeling the way the Sixers fans coveted him and then ultimately dissed him for not wanting to leave Portland. I think he has something in the bag tonight for Philly. That's why you need to be on your P's and Q's if you're the Philadelphia 76ers defense. Win the three-point battle is my next key to victory. This is something the Sixers have been able to do of late, and it's actually worked out well for them. It's something I mentioned after the All-Star break. You look at the numbers, Sixers are a top 10 three-point shooting team when it comes to efficiency percentage-wise, right? But they are a bottom half team when it comes to three-point attempts. That doesn't add up to me. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you checking me out in the NBA season. I know we get together for Turf Talk and talk about the Niners and the Eagles, but I appreciate you checking it out tonight. We got some big games on the slate, right? Got my Duke Blue Devils taking on the Miami Hurricanes here shortly on the ACC conference tournament. And then we have the Sixers taking on the Portland TrailBlazers, Dame versus Harden tonight. So it should be interesting. But nonetheless, thanks for checking in, Terry. I appreciate you as always. Win the three-point battle. The Sixers, as I mentioned, top 10 team in three-point efficiency percentage-wise, right? Bottom half in the league when it comes to three-point attempts. Tonight, use your three-point shooters, space the floor, get the ball moving around, take the open shots. If they're going to double Embiid, somebody's going to open. Be ready to knock down those shots. Because on the other end, you do got guys that can light it up if they're hot, right? You got Anthony Simons, Dame Lillard, Jeremy Grant, Cam Reddish. They all shoot north of 37% from the three-point line. So if you give them open looks tonight, they will hit them most likely. And they'll need to hit them on the road, right? So I expect them to shoot a lot of threes. Sixers going to have to match that because ultimately threes are more than twos, right? The next one, control penetration on defense. This is more or less just pertaining more to Dame Lillard, right? You cannot let him get into the teeth of your defense because it's going to create open opportunities. And then, boom, you're all of a sudden losing the three-point battle. It's all of a sudden Dallas, and it's 25 three-pointers, and Kyrie and Luka have 82 points combined. Now it's Dame Lillard and Cam Reddish have 70 points combined, or Dame Lillard and Anthony Simons have 70 points combined. That can't happen tonight. Control penetration. Don't give up those easy looks by letting Dame Lillard, Anthony Simons get into the teeth of your defense. Ultimately, we need them to be able to stop the ball, right? Stop penetration. It's going to be a huge thing come to the playoffs. Say you match up with the Cleveland Cavaliers at some point in the playoffs. They have two guards that will isolate you and piece you up when it comes to penetrating the lane and finding open guys or getting their own bucket. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. So it is something you have to pay attention to. It's something you have to try different things against tonight when you have a prolific guard, the caliber of Dame Lillard, right? So once again, just to go over the 3 keys to victory here. Control Dame Lillard. It's their first one. It's an obvious one, in my opinion. Win the 3-point battle. Once again, that's more of an obvious one, in my opinion. And control penetration on defense. That just ties back to Dame Lillard and those guards that they have there. Shaedon Sharpe, he's another explosive young player that I really like. So keep your eyes open for him as well. Hopefully, we don't get to see none of the exciting stuff that he generally does tonight. But those are going to be the 3 keys to victory there. Stop Dame Lillard, stop penetration, control the 3-point line, win that battle. Next, predictions, X Factor. I've kind of given it away throughout the show, so you didn't need to tune in to the end to find out who I'm picking to win. I'm going with the Sixers tonight at home. They're happy to be home. They're going to take advantage of it. They're going to take advantage of this 7-game stretch that I mentioned at the beginning of the show as well. Lesser competition. You need to grab these wins while you can because the tough competition will come back after this 7-game stretch. I have the Sixers winning 122-110 tonight. You look at the Sixers throughout that road trip. They did not score less than 117 on any of those 5 games. They're scoring the ball well right now. The problem's been on the defensive end. Usually it's the defense that travels. I think we bring the defense home with us this time. They have a good night tonight. Hold the Portland TrailBlazers under their season average of 115. 122-110 win for the Philadelphia 76ers. My player of the game or my X Factor, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to go with James Harden because as we discussed on Wednesday on Scotty Talks NBA, we did a Sixers deep dive with Harrison Grimm. James Harden, when he gets rest, elongated rest, right? Didn't play in that tail end of that back-to-back against Minnesota. So he gets an extended rest. Had off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then all day Friday up until this matchup. Ultimately to rest his legs. When he gets that opportunity to rest, he has had some of his best games this season. I expect one of those to be tonight. As I mentioned earlier, don't think there's anybody on that roster that can guard Harden. I don't think anybody on that roster can guard Embiid. I do think Harden with the fresh legs is going to be the more effective player. Ultimately tonight, the more MVP caliber player. I expect 25-plus points, 10-plus assists as he usually does. Maybe even a triple-double because of the fresh legs. Maybe he's getting on the boards tonight. But nonetheless, I like James Harden as my player of the game here tonight. Sixers dub. Finally, let's get to the best bets section because I do want to give you guys some time if you want to lay these. We're going with 3 best bets for the Sixers game tonight against Portland. First one being Tyrese Maxey over 2.5 threes at plus 105. I think it's a little insane that they're giving us this in plus territory. I get last game he hit 4 threes. Harden was out. So maybe you're using the idea behind Harden being back tonight. But Tyrese Maxey has hit this mark in 4 of his last 5 games. Those other games including Harden outside of the Minnesota game. So I think the simple truth is Maxey in the backcourt with Harden gets him to this area, this level of 3-pointers made, right? He's going to get enough open looks playing beside Embiid and Harden in that starting lineup. It's just about making them tonight. Anytime I see Tyrese Maxey in plus territory for 3 threes, I'm taking it, I'm smashing it, and I'm going home with it, right? So that's where I'm at with Tyrese Maxey. Next, we have Joel Embiid over 33.5 points at minus 105. This was earlier, so I went ahead and locked mine in. If the odds have moved, if the numbers have moved, I am sorry about that. But nonetheless, Embiid over 33.5 points at minus 105. You look at Embiid's last 4 games, he's been on a heater. Only one of those games not surpassing that mark. 42 points, 39 points, 31 points, and 35 points in his last 4 games. Obviously, the 31-point game being the one that doesn't hit this mark. He averages 33-plus points per game. We're asking for 34 tonight. As I mentioned, I see Harden with 10-plus assists. That means Embiid's going for 30-plus. I'll nail him at the 33.5 mark for 34 points or over tonight. Finally, I mentioned earlier James Harden, right? The fresh legs, X factor. James Harden over 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I like the fact that he's coming off a nice break here. He's been playing out of his mind since the All-Star break, hitting this number every single night. So I'm going to smash that number when they have it that low at 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists. James Harden, X factor tonight. He's going to have a big game. He's going to hit this mark very easily. I'm also putting James Harden on triple-double alert tonight because of the fresh legs. I truly think that means a ton for James Harden, which is why it's going to be important to win games like this tonight throughout this last stretch of the season. You need to take advantage of your schedule. That way, when you get down the stretch, you get closer to the playoffs, maybe you can get Harden a nice break before the postseason. Get Embiid a nice break before the postseason. Shit, even get Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, some of these guys a nice break before the postseason. But you have to keep in mind the importance of that 2 seed, obviously. So they got to balance that out. The way you balance that out is by beating the teams you're supposed to tonight when you have all your players on the court. I expect the Sixers to do so tonight, guys. That is going to be it for me tonight. It's been a whirlwind the last 2 hours, right? Scotty Talks NBA, jumping straight into Sixers pregame, but I absolutely love it. I absolutely love talking hoops with you guys. I appreciate everybody that commented tonight. Be sure, share the episodes with your friends. Let your friends know we do host Sixers pregame. Every single Sixers game will be here for you guys. That includes tomorrow night. But nonetheless, guys, please have a great rest of your Friday night. Go Duke. Go ahead, win the ACC tournament. Make us proud, right? Aside from that, go Sixes. Everybody, have a great night. Go Sixes. Go Blue Devils. Peace.